Chapter 2015. Incredible Sword. The evil spirit was in the central part of his territory. He had been injured by Lin Feng's sword qi. He needed to absorb human beings to recover his pure qi. If those people continued collaborating, he'd die forever. When he thought about that, he started to leave the area. However, a group of people arrived at that moment. The leader of the group was an old man in black clothes. When he saw the evil spirit's qi, he smiled sinisterly. "Where are you going?" the old man in black clothes asked icily. "Why do you care?" replied the evil spirit, equally icily. The old man in black clothes smiled even more nastily and said, "Everybody, I'll injure him and will take his castle. He can't protect the historical remains anymore." The evil spirits turned deathly pale. He hated Lin Feng. If he had known they'd cooperate no matter what, he wouldn't have taken the actions he had. The wind roared with a thundering rage, carrying a rolling qi. Blood strength filled the air. One of those strong cultivators raised his fist and struck out in the evil spirit's direction. The evil spirit turned to smoke again. However, he was already weakened. "Where are you going?" asked the evil old man. The group chased the smoke. The old man released a black imprint and stamped the smoke. The smoke disappeared, but not the black imprint. The old man laughed frantically. Without him, they were sure they were going to die in the historical remains. Lin Feng and the others ran and saw a group of people chasing smoke. They were startled at the sight. "Capture it! That black smoke is the evil spirit!" shouted the old man in black clothes to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng ran after the black smoke, releasing his dozen holy spirits. A terrifying sword qi also streaked across the sky. "Appear!" said Lin Feng icily. The evil spirit appeared again, looking exhausted. Half of his transparent body had disappeared, and he was looking more and more like an illusion. Lin Feng released sword intent. The evil spirit was terrified. "Where are the historical remains?" demanded Lin Feng icily. "Block them and I'll take you there," said the evil spirit icily. In response, whistling sounds grew, caused by Lin Feng's sword energies. "I'll tell you, the historical remains are under the lake. There's a seal there, I can open it. Help me block them and I'll take you there," said the evil spirit hastily. Lin Feng and the others gazed into the distance. There were many buildings. The lake the evil spirit was talking about was the lake where he was playing the zither a moment before. No wonder they hadn't found it. Lin Feng had actually inspected the water with his godly awareness, but hadn't found anything. "Who can open the seal?" asked the man in black clothes. The evil spirit looked terrified. He wanted to escape, but the man in black clothes released a terrifying curtain of black energies to envelope him. Lin Feng's sword energies disappeared. He didn't save the evil spirit. He had unceasingly been trying to fool them. The man in black clothes laughed frantically and said, "How awesome! If I can absorb a few more evil spirits, that'd be awesome. Everybody, help me attack the castles. I'll tell you where all the historical remains are. Now, let's injure these people badly, but don't kill them, I need them." He slowly rose up into the air. The old man in black clothes was also an evil spirit, and not only did he want to absorb the other evil spirits, but he also wanted geniuses. "Tianxi Dynasty, Princess Piao Shui," said a young man icily. "Prince Damo, we should join hands to oppress the evil spirits and force them to tell us where the historical remains are, then we can kill them," said Princess Piao Shui indifferently. "I want to help him. He'll tell me where the historical remains of the 9 castles are." "Why would I kill him?" said Prince Damo icily. "You think he'll help you?" said Prince Piao Shui. Prince Damo was one of 2 princes from the Great Desert Dynasty. They had invited extremely strong cultivators from Tianyuan ancient city's Yunshao University and some strong cultivators from ancient holy clans. Lin Feng noticed some people he knew, Shi Yunfeng and Wang Zhong. Another one of them looked at Lin Feng icily, but Lin Feng didn't know him. "Who are you?" Lin Feng asked that person. "Heaven Clan, Song Yi," said that person icily. Lin Feng remembered the Heaven Clan and wasn't surprised. He had killed so many people from the Heaven Clan back in the day. He had even exchanged the indestructible Devamara skill with them back then. Lin Feng didn't know how well they could use such a skill. If someone wasn't strong enough, Giving them such a powerful skill was useless, and even dangerous for them. The prince of the Great Desert Dynasty smiled coldly when he heard Princess Piao Shui. Even if we can't get the 9 castles, this one should be fine. No wonder the evil spirit said we had no choice. There are so many morons. You think those evil spirits are stupid? If you don't kill them when you have the chance, do you think they'll let you off? Princess Piao Shui spat icily. Princess Piao Shui, you talk too much. Since you're from the Tianxi dynasty, I'll give you an opportunity, fight on our side and we'll let your people off. Then, we will head to the other castles. Said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince indifferently. We can't be your allies, replied Princess Piao Shui icily. Since it's that way, I don't need to be polite, said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince grimly. You think you're smart, but you're ridiculous, said Lin Feng mockingly, releasing a holy spirit. The others frowned. A holy spirit? That was a technique used by the Holy Spirit dynasty. But Lin Feng had several holy spirits, and they were all really strong. When all the holy spirits transformed, the air began to hum. Lin Feng also released sword energies, his whole aura like an indestructible sword. He absorbed threads of sword intent. The crowd sensed several sorts of cosmic energies. The cosmic energies condensed in those holy spirits and his sword became even more terrifying. If anyone makes a step forwards, I'll kill them, said Lin Feng aggressively. His sword emitted whistling sounds and moved towards the black evil spirit. The evil spirit grunted icily. He raised his hands and broke the sword's strength. However, the crowd was stupefied because Lin Feng's sword intent was incredible and explosive. Lin Feng managed to get onto the Holy Way stage. It proves that he's talented, but it doesn't prove he's strong, shouted the Great Desert Dynasty's prince. Since it's that way, I'll show you, sneered Lin Feng mockingly. Anyone want to see how strong Lin Feng is? Why don't you try? Said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince icily. Song Yi released terrifying Heaven Dao power, bearing down with it as he ran forwards. Sword intent appeared in front of him, crackling with power. Brother Song Yi is the strongest emperor of the Heaven clan. He's not weaker than Ji Chang. Let's see how strong Lin Feng is, said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince indifferently. Song Yi was definitely powerful, truly not weaker than Ji Chang. However, Prince Damo said that because he wanted Song Yi to use his full strength. Since Prince Damo had complimented him, Song Yi had to be strong. Lin Feng couldn't kill Song Yi. There were too many people who supported him there. Song Yi jumped forwards, his Heaven Dao power filling the air, breaking Lin Feng's sword chi apart. Song Yi smiled coldly. I already have the advantage, you can't kill me. Just as Song Yi finished talking, a terrifying sword energy rose up. It was extremely fast, striking like lightning. It contained wind, empty space, earth, fire and cursing strength. Just the sound it made as it cut the air felt like it was slicing through their souls. Song Ye's face turned deathly pale. He shouted furiously. Heaven's strength swelled around him. However, it was all useless. The sword cut apart everything, sword lights appearing from his right foot to the left part of his head. Suddenly, the air became very calm. Chapter 2016, Gloomy Historical Remains. Many people ran away at this display. After the sword lights pierced through Song Yi, they continued moving past him. The crowd saw buildings explode in the distance. How awesome! The atmosphere became eerily silent as everyone looked at Song Yi. There were the sound of an explosion, and a moment later Song Ye's body exploded. In midair, the multiple energies continued corroding the pieces of flesh and his body turned to ashes in midair. His group was astonished and shaken. What kind of strength? So many cosmic energies, they thought, staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's holy spirits twinkled and continued absorbing cosmic energies. Lin Feng's grabbed his sword and said icily, Prince Damo, why don't you try fighting against me yourself? Prince Damo's face stiffened. Lin Feng's sword was deadly. Even Song Yi hadn't had time to react. Even though Jian Mang hadn't seen Lin Feng's sword attack, he had sensed how terrifying it was. Lin Feng's sword wasn't any slower than his now, fast and explosive. He had also noticed from the whistling sounds that Lin Feng's sword had traveled faster than sound. He had probably used soundwave energy too. Jian Mang knew that Lin Feng was an incredible sword cultivator and seemed to have learned a new skill on top of that. He only managed to kill one person. If you join hands, you can easily kill him, prodded the evil spirit. Lin Feng raised his head to stare at the spirit, and sword intent dashed to the skies. At the same time, in the distance, some splashing sounds were heard. Prince Yen and his group, in the central part, had started attacking the lake to open it up. Water kept spraying spectacularly into the air. A silhouette entered the lake. The crowd was angered. Prince Yen and the others were trying to steal the historical remains before everybody else. Let's go! Silhouettes flickered. Many people forgot about the Great Desert Dynasty's prince. Those people were geniuses from powerful groups. They didn't care about Prince Daimo's orders. Prince Daimo looked at Lin Feng icily and then continued flying away too. The old man in black clothes looked surprised. These bastards, they were going to look for historical remains just like that? At that moment, Lin Feng was surrounded by sword determination which kept exploding. His energies dashed to the skies. The evil spirit turned into black smoke. The sword sliced apart the black smoke and cut off a small part of it. Lin Feng rose up into the air and holy spirits roared in a thundering rage, continuing to absorb cosmic strength. Lin Feng continued releasing cosmic energies. Lightning, fire, and death strength surrounded the evil black spirit. However, there was still a lot of black smoke. After a short time, a silhouette reappeared. The old man looked much weaker now. He shouted furiously and glared after Lin Feng ferociously. This bastard! He ruined my plan. Without absorbing human and spirits' lives, I can't become stronger. I don't want to be a guardian my entire life. I want to access the historical remains, thought the evil spirit. He glanced at the people who were trying to break the seal icily and thought, Go in there and die. I'll benefit from you people's misfortune. The spirit was convinced their death was going to be tragic. When the foreigners started breaking the seal, they were all very excited. It was an opportunity people had only every 100 years. At that moment, Lin Feng and the others also arrived above the lake. The ancient seal was there. The stronger cultivators kept attacking it like madmen. Finally, they heard it cracking, and the seal started breaking. Rumblings spread out as the ground started shaking. What's going on? Lin Feng and the others frowned. The castle was slowly starting to rise up into the air. The crowd was frozen watching all this. Very quickly, the castle turned into a country and qi filled the air. Are there really historical remains under the ground? Everybody was amazed. Some people started flying away. People outside of the castle looked at it sharply. Some people opened the seal, thought the crowd, shaking eagerly. For those people, the historical remains didn't represent an opportunity. Some flew towards the entrance. Lin Feng and the others looked at the qi. They were sure that these historical remains were very old. Let's go in, said Lin Feng, flying towards the entrance. There was a pale light in the ancient historical remains. It was cold, and things hadn't rotted. Be very careful, my mother warned me, those historical remains have been left by saints and might be dangerous, said Princess Piao Shui. Everybody nodded and released their godly awareness to inspect the area. It was like another world inside. They had crossed a forest and then seen a mountain range. They all jumped onto a mountain. How dark, there are caves there, noticed Lin Feng after glancing around. Lin Feng just had to make a step forwards and he'd be in a pit. They all contained a gloomy qi. I have the sensation we're being watched, said Jian Mang. Everyone shivered at his words. I do too, but I can't see anything with my godly awareness, agreed Ho Qing Lin. Let's not go in yet. Let's first go and see what there is here, said Lin Feng walking forwards. Lin Feng and his friends weren't the only ones there. Prince Yen, Prince Daimo, and many others were there already. Prince Yen and his people were extremely careful. However, on Prince Daimo's side, someone was alone, a member of an ancient holy clan. He was traveling alone in a desolate forest. Suddenly, that person stopped walking. He turned around and saw a terrifying silhouette moving towards him extremely fast. Die! A terrifying qi invaded the atmosphere. However, the silhouette didn't fight against him, it grabbed his body and penetrated into him. They became one. Suddenly he shouted explosively. His soul shook violently as if it were about to explode. His face became ferocious. A horrible shriek broke the silence and echoed far away. The whole crowd shivered. When that person came out of the forest, his eyes were extremely sinister. Chu Chunqiu was also in the historical remains. He had come in from another castle. The evil spirits had deceived everyone. There were passages between the different castles, they were in those passages. What the evil spirits wanted was these humans to kill one another. Chu Chunqiu was traveling alone, so the same thing happened to him. However, the consequences were completely different. When that silhouette tried to penetrate into his body, Chu Chunqiu blocked him. His vitality and determination were incredible. The silhouette tried to escape, but Chu Chunqiu had bound it. He immediately absorbed it entirely. The exact opposite had happened. Chapter 2017. Sword determination which never disperses. Lin Feng and the others also heard the shout, which startled them. The historical remains were gloomy, and everyone felt cold. Someone has run into danger. The historical remains are even scarier than we thought, it seems. We didn't even hear a battle, said Princess Piao Shui. The ancient qi in that place made everyone feel uncomfortable. Even though they were scared, they continued moving forwards. The place was extremely vast. It wasn't merely as big as the castle. There's someone in front of us, said Jian Mang. He was blind, therefore his other perceptions were more acute than the others. Are you sure? Asked Lin Feng. He had seen some smoke pass quickly, but it was so fast that he wasn't sure. I sensed blood qi. I shouldn't be wrong, said Jian Mang evenly. Lin Feng and the others released their godly awareness and inspected the area. It will be extremely difficult to find anything here, especially since these historical remains were left by the saints in the ancient past, said Princess Piao Shui with a sigh. Every 100 years, people of their dynasties came to that world. They had never stopped. They all hoped they would find their own ancestors' vestiges. After the dismantling of the Qi Tian dynasty, the dynasties had never had saints again. The saints had all disappeared together. They had never received the original legacy of their ancestors. They had never been able to practice their incredible skills or spells, and they had never seen their ancestors. Maybe their ancestors had left small threads of soul in this world? They had never found a way to become saints because their ancestors, the saints, had never come out. They were usually stuck when they became holy great emperors. They couldn't transcend worldliness. There were half-saints. They were extremely rare, but they existed. They had already broken through, but not entirely. Suddenly, a strong wind started blowing behind them. Lin Feng turned around and saw a gigantic black eagle, its claws pointed in their direction. The eagle spat out qi with a horrible putrid stench like death. Princess Piao Shui punched out in that direction. Water appeared, even as Jian Mang also released an incredible light sword. The gigantic eagle caught Jian Mang's sword with its claws. The sword sliced into the claws and the eagle gave out a horrible shriek, spinning away. Lin Feng and the others continued moving forwards. Suddenly, an old man appeared, stretched out his hand and the eagle fell onto his grasp. Lin Feng frowned. The old man's blood qi was extremely powerful. He looked like a human being, but he also looked enigmatic and unfathomable. He was probably a great emperor already, but human beings couldn't be great emperors in this world. Besides, what was he doing in the historical remains? He didn't look like someone who had come from outside, he looked like someone from the historical remains. Master, are you a human being or a spirit? Lin Feng asked the old man. However, the old man merely smiled darkly. His silhouette flickered and he disappeared as if he had never appeared. Was it a human being or a spirit? People's eyes glittered. Not far from Lin Feng, another group of people arrived, Prince Yen and his followers. When they saw that person disappear, they were astonished. Were there great emperors hiding in here? If that was the case, it wasn't a good thing. Did you find anything? Prince Yen asked Lin Feng and the others. And you, brother? Retorted Piao Shui for everyone. Prince Yen looked at Piao Shui for a few seconds and then continued walking on, ignoring her. Lin Feng also continued advancing. Danger came from all sides in this place. All those who were alone were attacked. Only those who stayed together were out of danger. The geniuses who had gone there were terrifying, so in groups, they were not easy to defeat and the evil spirits didn't dare attack them. There's someone. Lin Feng and the others gazed into the distance and saw a new group of people. Lin Feng knew one of them, Ji Chang. The Tianxi dynasty invited him and he's staying with people from other dynasties, said Princess Piao Shui when she saw Ji Chang. She told Lin Feng, there are some people from the He clan, Tianyuan ancient city. The He clan has several people who are disciples of the Fortune Shrine. Some of them have the Fortune Shrine's techniques. Even though the disciples aren't as strong as the elders, they probably can find something. He clan. Lin Feng remained silent. Back in the holy city, he had heard of the He clan. He knew that the Ying clan had invited a member of the He clan to come to use their destiny vision to find Mr. Xiao. That's how they had found out about Lin Feng and Ji Qing Song. Apart from Ji Chang, there are some other people. They've been invited by the Qin dynasty. Have you ever seen them? Asked Princess Piao Shui. I know Yin Gutian, said Lin Feng. Yin Gutian's arm had been regrown by some method. They had probably made great efforts to heal him. And there's Ying Mo, Ying Cheng's younger brother. You probably don't know him because he doesn't practice in the holy city. He lives in Qitian holy town. He's very famous here, he's very strong, said Princess Piao Shui. When those people finally noticed them, they looked at Lin Feng icily, especially Ji Chang. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He said to Princess Piao Shui, let's follow them, we might find something. Prince Yen had the same idea. They all followed the Qin dynasty. There were some people from the He clan, so they would have more chances to find things. Nobody knew where they were, so they wandered aimlessly. They arrived at the top of a mountain. The member of the He clan looked at the mountain and said, raise that mountain to the ground. When he said that, everybody started attacking the mountain at the same time. Gigantic hands descended from the sky and crushed the mountain, explosions going off everywhere. The mountain started breaking apart. Under the mountain, there was a hole. A cave, the crowd exclaimed. Something shrieked through the air and one of their men jumped away, but a gigantic eagle appeared and grabbed him with its claws before flying away. Blood kept dripping from the sky and the cultivator kept giving off horrible shrieks. Is he inside? Lin Feng and the others were astonished when they saw a hand come out of the cave. The old man slowly came out. He was still smiling evilly. The eagle came back and landed on the old man's shoulder. Blood was dripping from the eagle's beak. That eagle is so fast, thought the wary crowd. His clothes. Someone had looked at the old man's clothes carefully. They looked ragged, but actually, when looking closer, there were mysterious words and patterns on them. Is he from the old days? Master, who are you? Someone asked the old man. The old man was just smiling. He stepped backwards and disappeared again. Who is he? He looks like a human being. His chi is incredible. However, his chi doesn't seem human, it seems ghostly. There must be something in that cave, said the member of the He clan. I sense something too. A powerful sword chi, said someone else. They were all staring at the cave. Some sword lights glittered inside. The sword chi looked ancient, as if it had never dispersed. There was a skeleton lying underneath it. Gigantic cave, mysterious old man, immortal sword chi, skeleton. The crowd shuddered with dread. Someone punched out, his attack moved straight into the cave. The walls of the cave exploded with a roar, and it became wider. However, the sword chi didn't disperse. What kind of sword intent is that? Does it belong to a saint? It seems like it has not dispersed since the old days. How terrifying would it be if people could use it to kill? Chapter 2018, Saint Skeleton. There are bones and sword chi. Is it a saint skeleton? Wondered someone. Everybody shivered. Even if it wasn't a saint skeleton, it looked terrifying, especially that the sword chi around it that had never dispersed. We can't destroy that sword chi. We need to take out the skeleton, someone proposed. People quickly started moving. They started digging all around the cave. They were deeper and deeper under the ground. Very quickly, they were standing under the sword chi curtain. "Come out!" shouted someone furiously. The skeleton hummed. The immortal sword determination suddenly exploded, sharp energies filling the air. The crowd had the impression they were being attacked by ancient swords. "Be careful," Lin Feng shouted loudly. He rose up into the air, grabbing Meng Qing and jumping aside. However, they were too slow, sword lights pierced through Lin Feng's body and blood splashed out. Everybody remained silent. What a terrifying pressure. Phew, Lin Feng took a deep breath. It took him a while to relax. He wasn't badly injured. None of them had managed to escape completely unscathed. Everybody had been injured at least a little bit by the sword chi. That immortal sword chi is natural. It's not as explosive as if someone used it to attack, or we would have all died, said Princess Piao Shui. She had not thought it would be so terrifying. Everybody was looking at the skeleton. The skeleton was changing, floating in the air, and sword intent kept undulating around it. The crowd was now a fair bit away, but they could sense how terrifying the energies were. That sword determination was indeed strange. That skeleton is even more precious than marks of the path, thought the crowd. Their eyes glittered, staring at the skeleton emitting sword intent. Maybe it's really a saint skeleton and it contains a strong cultivator's thread of consciousness. Even if it's only a thread of consciousness, it's still a precious treasure. They gradually started stirring with excitement. However, as they glanced at one another, they also remembered they had to be careful. Stealing the skeleton wouldn't be that easy. That skeleton might be a saint skeleton. It contains intent. Taking it won't be easy, murmured Ho Qing Lin. Lin Feng nodded. That skeleton sword chi intent was incredible. Even though it was only a skeleton, the chi was still powerful. People remained silent for a long time. Finally, someone moved. People just watched him. He ran at full speed towards the skeleton as a strong wind started blowing. His speed is incredible. But even if he obtains it, there are so many strong cultivators, someone is going to kill him, thought Lin Feng. The strong wind blew around the skeleton, sword intent started erupting. The crowd sensed the terrifying sword intent. The skeleton was threatening the cultivator. Time seemed to stop. An ancient cultivator's sword streaked across the sky like they were traveling back in time, leaving the crowd astonished. The wind stopped. The genius reappeared. He was surrounded by sword intent. There was no sword light, no sharp sword, only sword intent. It was corroding his body. "Cassiopeia sword," murmured Lin Feng. Many people looked at him. Cassiopeia sword? The princess shivered. She had heard of a saint who was a sword cultivator. His Cassiopeia sword was famous. Cassiopeia was the name of some ancient Buddhist scriptures. The Cassiopeia Bodhisattva was a Buddha. The Cassiopeia sword could destroy time. According to ancient stories, even the saints back then didn't want to fight against him. "You surprisingly know about the Cassiopeia sword?" asked Princess Piao Shui to Lin Feng. "I'm a sword cultivator too, I've naturally heard about it," Lin Feng smiled. He didn't tell her the truth, it was too important to the Holy Spirit dynasty. The Holy Spirit dynasty already wanted his bloodline, so he had to be discreet. The one who had gone to grab the skeleton died to the sword intent. The group then continued slowly walking forwards. However, they were extremely careful as they weren't only facing the other geniuses, they were also facing a dangerous skeleton. Next to Prince Yen was Wang Jian, his body shining. Armor had appeared around his body, he looked like a warlord. He started walking ahead of everyone else slowly. "It's Wang Jian, he practices weapon cultivation. He's extremely strong. The weapon he condenses are terrifying," thought the others. Wang Jian raised his left hand, and a shield appeared. He raised his right hand and a gleaming long golden spear appeared. However, someone else jumped forwards. "Zhuqing!" He released formidable golden lights, a shining golden wind appearing behind him, pressing down on everyone. He had a king-type body, a diamond indestructible king-type body. Like Wang Jian, he was wearing an indestructible armor. In the distance, someone else arrived like a celestial being. The atmosphere was distorting around them. It was a celestial woman, the Holy Jade Princess. Chu Chunqiu also arrived. He was surrounded by ancient kings and sky-absorbing strength. He looked like an emperor. Nobody dared underestimate Chu Chunqiu. He had proven how strong he was. First on the imperial ranking list of the Holy City, then on the Holy Way stage. Apart from Lin Feng and him, nobody else there had managed to do that. Lin Feng was more talented, but Chu Chunqiu was a high-level emperor and controlled sky-absorbing strength. People feared Chu Chunqiu more than they feared Lin Feng. Some other people were moving. Crazy Bull, Ingmo, the strong cultivator of the He clan, Prince Yen, they all moved to different places and released qi towards the skeleton. This was the first thing they had noticed in this world, which could be a precious treasure. The crowd was stunned when the skeleton suddenly disappeared. "Who?" shouted someone explosively. The crowd gazed into the distance and found Lang Yi running away. "Lang Yi, World King Body," the crowd snarled. It was him. He had used world strength and had managed to take the skeleton. "Chase him." The crowd followed him at full speed. Wang Jian and the others looked particularly angry and pulled long faces. "Don't run chaotically, this place is very dangerous," said Lin Feng to Princess Piao Shui. When Princess Piao Shui looked at Lin Feng's eyes, she shivered. He looked firm and aggressive. She knew that place was dangerous, but how could she give up the skeleton? But she also knew that obtaining the skeleton would be dangerous. "All right, let's go together," said Princess Piao Shui. "Wait for me," said Lin Feng to Meng Qing and Ho Qing Lin. Then he moved away in a blur of movement. Holy spirits appeared. Lin Feng jumped onto its back and accelerated. After Lang Yi took the skeleton, he flew away. He could feel the pressure from behind him. "Stop!" shouted someone explosively, making his soul shake violently. Wang Jian chopped down and a trail of sharp sword energies appeared. Lang Yi was surrounded by lights. When the sharp sword appeared near him, the atmosphere became distorted, cyan lights appeared and the sword energies disappeared inside. World strength. Wang Jian's eyes glittered darkly as he snarled furiously. Many sharp swords appeared as he continued running after Lang Yi. Chu Chunqiu also chased him, continually releasing ancient king intent. Even though he was some distance away, Lang Yi felt under pressure. Ancient kings appeared in his mind, wanting to kill him. Lang Yi suddenly had a headache as all sorts of strength bore down on him. He was terribly annoyed. Would he be able to keep the skeleton? Lang Yi stretched out his hands and released cyan world lights. However, they quickly disappeared. He felt dispirited. He had no choice but to give the skeleton up. "Lang Yi!" shouted Lin Feng extremely loudly. Lang Yi turned around and saw Lin Feng on his sword, moving extremely fast. "Grab it!" Lang Yi threw the skeleton at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's sword whistled as a mysterious qi rose up into the air. "Lin Feng!" Chu Chunqiu and the others suddenly turned around. They looked at Lin Feng and stopped chasing Lang Yi, turning towards Lin Feng. They were interested in the skeleton, not Lang Yi. "Can that guy absorb the skeleton?" thought Lang Yi in the distance. He was annoyed by his weakness. If he had been really strong, with his world strength, nobody would have been able to chase him. He needed to become much stronger. Back then, Chu Chunqiu and Lang Yi were similarly strong in the vast celestial ancient city, but now things had changed. Lin Feng was on his holy spiritual sword and moving blindingly fast. However, the others were still chasing him. Chu Chunqi shouted explosively. His vitality and determination strength became even more powerful, his qi even scarier. A sharp sword appeared under his feet and he accelerated. The Holy Jade Princess was the fastest one. She looked like a celestial being. Surprisingly, Zhua Qing was the slowest one, not quite as fast as the others. Some people started using great imperial weapons to chase him. They were all geniuses who had great imperial weapons. In normal circumstances they didn't use them, but now chasing Lin Feng was more important. "These guys are so fast," thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't want to do the same as Lang Yi and give up the skeleton. After a short time, Lin Feng arrived in front of the valley with the gigantic black hole. Suddenly he turned around and his holy spirits appeared in front of him. He also released sword intent, and in front of him a dozen swords suddenly appeared. Chu Chunqiu and Wang Jian suddenly stopped, as did the Holy Jade Princess. They were all surprised and staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, the Tianxi dynasty invited you, we should join hands. You can't absorb that skeleton on your own. Give it to me, Wang Jian said to Lin Feng sharply. Lin Feng merely smiled coldly. Chapter 2020, Darkness, whether I can use it or not has nothing to do with you. I already have the skeleton. I won't give it to you, said Lin Feng icily. A strong wind started condensing. Chu Chunqiu also arrived. Nobody dared act recklessly. If they all got angry, the battle would become extremely dangerous. Lin Feng, if we join hands to fight against you, you will die, Zhuoqing said icily. You were the most talented at the Holy Spirit dynasty, dying would be a pity. Since you have the potential to become a peerless cultivator, why would you want to have a peerless cultivator skeleton? I do want it, said Lin Feng indifferently. Then he stepped backwards and slowly fell down into the abyssal dark hole. Chu Chunqiu and the others were astonished and dashed after him. They focused their godly awareness into the dark hole, but saw nothing at all. Cultivators could see perfectly at night, especially at that cultivation level, but this wasn't night and it wasn't darkness. They looked uncertain now. If Lin Feng attacked them by surprise in the black hole, they'd die. After all, even though none of them thought Lin Feng was stronger than they were, they didn't underestimate him either, especially since he had a terrifying sword intent. Lin Feng stole the skeleton, and you let him off? Asked some other people who arrived at that moment. Some of them immediately jumped into the black hole and released their godly awareness to inspect the area, remaining vigilant. Lin Feng fell and fell. It seemed like an endless black hole. After a long time, Lin Feng still hadn't landed. He could only see a few centimeters around him, it was too dark. He couldn't see things clearly even when they were a few centimeters away, it was too gloomy. Princess Piao Shui and Meng Qing also arrived at the top of the black hole, their hearts pounding. Someone released fireballs to illuminate the black hole, but they exploded without showing anything. After a long time, Lin Feng finally landed on the ground. He could also see a gigantic black entity with softly humming chains. What the hell is that? What are those chains? Murmured Lin Feng, feeling the ancient qi. This place was so old. Lin Feng raised his head, his qi rising. Lin Feng sensed qi around him and understood that people were still chasing him. His sword Holy Spirits appeared around him once more. Dazzling lights appeared in Lin Feng's field of vision. Wang Jian was the first one to arrive. They were both blind in here. Lin Feng could only see small lights. A terrifying sword intent rose up into the air. Wang Jian was shocked, crazily attacking blindly around him. Crackling sounds announced the incoming sword qi shattering, but his shield shook and shattered at the impact. Wang Jian was suddenly surrounded by deadly energies. His armor became even more dazzling. He threw his spear, which streaked across the sky. Death swords appeared as he continued descending from the sky. A gigantic disc appeared under his feet, and another silver blade appeared in his hands. Even though Lin Feng couldn't see it, he could sense it. Energies slammed together and exploded. Wang Jian knew he hadn't reached Lin Feng. Higher up into the air, more people were descending. Lin Feng smiled icily. Suddenly he struck out skywards, and someone grunted painfully. Be careful, he's underneath us, shouted Wang Jian. He stopped his attack and continued descending the hole. A strong wind started blowing, bearing down from Zhuoqing. Whistling sounds spread in the air. More and more strong cultivators were coming down the black hole. At that moment, Lin Feng could sense that the chains were shaking. He looked at the chains, but didn't see anyone. The chains shook again and broke the eerie silence. Apart from the soughing of the wind, they could only hear the chains shake. The sound was getting louder and louder. In the end, the ground also started shaking as they heard stone cracking. What's going on? Lin Feng was wary. He could sense the ground was shaking under his feet. He rose up into the air, but at that moment, a gigantic boulder exploded and stones started falling down from the sky. The crowd in the black hole heard the rumbling, their qi rose. When the stones finished exploding, Lin Feng saw a gigantic human silhouette. The chains prevented him from moving. The crowd above him saw a pair of eyes. Even the darkness of the black hole couldn't stop the lights emitted by those dazzling eyes. They were suddenly terrified. A monster, that's a monster of darkness. People's hearts started pounding. Chu Chunqiu, Wang Jian, and the others ascended rapidly. They were too scared. They wanted to escape. A golden wind turned into deployment lights. Lin Feng cast a deployment spell and rose up into the air. Phew, Lin Feng heard a sigh. A gigantic black stick appeared, a dazzling light moved, then there was rumbling and an explosive impact. A strong cultivator was crushed instantly by the black stick. Everyone tried to escape. They couldn't breathe anymore, they were terrified to death. "Dodge!" shouted Jian Mang. He sensed that something wrong was happening. There were more explosions, and Piao Shui and the others were smashed away. Someone was killed behind them, dead without knowing what slew him. In the depths of the black hole, golden lights glittered. Lin Feng took out a talisman, his silhouette flickering several times as deployment lights kept flashing. He had the sensation he could barely breathe. Walla walla! The monster looked at Lin Feng, seeing that Lin Feng wanted to escape and wanting to chase him, but he was chained. He opened his mouth and spat out qi. Everybody heard him, the noise shaking everyone's soul and threatening to collapse the cave. Some people kept coughing up blood. Some even exploded and died. How terrifying, thought Lin Feng. Chapter 2021. Fangs. The situation was chaotic inside the black hole. Some people attacked one another without realizing it. As Lin Feng was throwing talismans, he was gaining altitude and sensed attacks all around him. He had the feeling he was going to suffocate as he released sword energies in every direction around him. How dangerous! Lin Feng sensed some more punches pass next to him. He was sweating coldly, but he kept calm and continued ascending. Another roar made the whole cave shake, including those inside it. It sounded like a demon king at the bottom of the black hole was howling furiously. The cave continued shaking. A gigantic hand emerged from the bottom of the cave, shooting skywards. This time, the demon king wasn't controlling himself anymore. The whole cave was trembling, frightening everyone. Lin Feng was already high up in the air. Chu Chunqiu and the others had given up and were running away. They were extremely quick, so they had already passed many other people. At that moment, many people who were not fast enough were still in the cave, and sensed that a gigantic hand was closing in on them from behind. Chu Chunqiu roared out like thunder, releasing his vitality and strength of intent. He was surrounded by beautiful lights, and moving incredibly fast. People were astonished as he flew by them in the blink of an eye. Zhuo Qing and Wang Jian were already using their trump cards. The danger was real, their lives were in peril. Lin Feng also used his full strength. Deployment lights appeared around him and he moved invisibly fast. The gigantic hand passed near Lin Feng. He managed to dodge it, but several other people weren't as lucky. Ingemo was also still inside. He was quite strong, so he had dared enter the black hole. The gigantic hand closed. People outside shuddered with dread and ran away, not daring to stay. There was a furious demon here. Lin Feng did the same, trying to leave as quickly as possible. Who knew how powerful that chained demon was? If he managed to break free from the chains, he might kill everybody in the blink of an eye. When Lin Feng left the cave, his silhouette flickered and he landed at the top of a mountain. He glanced around, looking stunned. Outside, everything had changed. It wasn't a castle anymore, there were authentic historical remains. Lin Feng glanced around and saw blood everywhere. What a tragedy! Lin Feng, called out someone in the distance icily. Give me the skeleton, someone else demanded harshly. They were getting closer and closer to him. At that moment, Lin Feng released holy spirits, and on his back, a gigantic sword appeared. The sun was shining upon it as it hummed and glowed. Come and take it. Lin Feng replied indifferently. He didn't sound nervous at all. He just looked at the two cultivators who were coming towards him. To him, they were already dead. Die, said one of them, charging and raising their fist. 5 rays of light appeared. The other one released a blood sun, and Lin Feng's blood started boiling. Lin Feng raised his gigantic sword and grunted icily. He destroyed the many punches, which exploded and dispersed harmlessly. Even if his enemy used Dao power, he could still crush them. Lin Feng's sword continued shooting forwards. It was magnificent and its chi was rolling about it. The scorching blood sun moved to meet the sword, dazzling and beautiful. The sword pierced through the sun, thrusting towards the man. It cut him apart and Lin Feng charged the other enemy, the wind whistling at his speed. When the strong cultivator noticed Lin Feng charging him, he looked petrified. He waved his hand, and Lin Feng's blood started boiling even more, and it even seemed his soul was burning. At the same time, his opponent continued moving down to oppress him, sending a fire dragon at Lin Feng. Lin Feng punched out, creating a golden path in front of him. It pierced through the fire dragon, exactly in the middle of it, and continued towards the controller. Lin Feng then released a Nihility sword. At the same time, he released his 5 Wisdom King Holy Spirits, all of them looking alive and furious. His enemy had no way to escape. When his opponent tried to use his mind to protect himself, the terrifying sword was already in front of him and his face turned deathly pale. "Prasama burns," said the man, raising his hand. However, Lin Feng ignored him and continued charging while condensing sword intent. Dazzling lights were shining. Lin Feng's sword continued attacking. Lin Feng and the man were now close to one another. The Prasama burns fireball was cut in half, and a sword mark appeared on the man's third eye. Lin Feng put his finger on his enemy's third eye, and the man's entire body exploded. Lin Feng continued on without breaking a step. To him, he had just killed a random person in his way. Some people in the distance saw that and were astonished, and suddenly nobody wanted to fight against him anymore. His sword attacks were too terrifying. He had cut apart 2 geniuses in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and condensed more holy spirits, finally condensing a sword technique with a terrifying strength. However, he didn't think he could deal with many emperors at the same time. If they joined hands, it could be dangerous for him. Lin Feng left without turning around. After a long time, Lin Feng arrived in another mountain range. He glanced around and carved some deployment marks. At the same time, he informed Meng Qing and the others of his circumstances. He also created a clone and started practicing cultivation on his deployment spell. Lin Feng didn't take out the skeleton, it was too powerful and he couldn't control it. He continued studying his holy spirits. He sat down cross-legged and forgot about the outside world, descending into a deep meditative state. Lang Yi released world lights which, a few seconds later, spat out 3 corpses. Ho Qing Lin also released reincarnation strength, and even though he didn't manage to kill enemies, he could at least prevent them from moving forwards. Stars appeared and descended from the sky, shooting towards Lin Feng. The air became ice-cold around them, but Lin Feng ignored that, his hair fluttering in the wind, free and unrestrained. He released Death Culpa swords, which kept fusing together with the Celestial Stage deployment spell. Holy spirits kept condensing in front of Lin Feng. A gigantic sword slashed across the sky. The strong cultivators were stunned. They all used their most powerful attacks to stop it, but Lin Feng's attack still killed someone, his head flying away. A strong wind kept pushing against them. Lin Feng released World of the Living Imprints, fusing them with the Celestial Stage deployment spell. The combined energies surrounded the crowd. Lin Feng didn't stop after having released World of the Living Imprints. He continued releasing Holy Spirit lights, and his sword continued humming ominously. "Let's move back," said Lin Feng calmly. They slowly moved back into the fog of the deployment spell. He couldn't kill those geniuses easily, but at least he could teach them a good lesson, and they wouldn't forget how strong he was for a while. Boom boom. The attackers converged on the Celestial Stage deployment spell. Even though Lin Feng had killed several people already, they were so furious that they didn't want to let him off. Die, die, die. Whistling sounds spread out as the crowd attacked. The strong cultivators wanted to attack Lin Feng and the 2 others, but realized that they were merely smiling icily back at them. Illusion, it's a deployment spell again. Go in, break the deployment spell, and kill them. exclaimed Wang Jian, surging ahead. A dazzling armor appeared around him, and he condensed a spear and a shield, all in the blink of an eye. They charged into the deployment spell. They were all really strong, all of them geniuses, and they didn't fear the deployment spell. Chu Chunqiu was standing in the distance and calmly watching the battle. He didn't go into Lin Feng's deployment spell, as he knew perfectly well how powerful Lin Feng's deployment spells were. The geniuses had great imperial weapons, but those were their trump cards. They usually didn't use them. Even to steal the skeleton, they hadn't brought them out, because otherwise a great battle would have broken out, and the consequences could have been tragic. But now they had all taken out their great imperial weapons to fight against Lin Feng. However, the crowd didn't even have time to be surprised, as the cyan lights dashed to the skies. Their hearts were pounding, the sky seemed about to collapse. The world coffin appeared somewhere else. Lin Feng was sitting atop it. He saw the fissure in the sky. No wonder ancestor Shirtian had told him not to fight against Jichang. People from ancient holy clans had powerful trump cards to protect their lives, but they could also use them to kill other people. The monarchic spear is also called the king of weapons. It is extremely powerful, created by condensing many other weapons together. It has an overwhelming power, murmured Lang Yi. At that moment, they were all looking at the hole in the sky. Crumbs kept falling from it, looking quite strange. The sky is collapsing. Maybe the saints created this world back then? Wondered Lang Yi. He was astonished. Back then the saints had fought a great war. Had they created this place? What was going on? And were the details only known to insiders? The sky kept falling apart. People stopped fighting and looked at the sky. An endless number of golden lights appeared up there, each such light curtain extremely sharp. It seems like there's someone up there. The crowd was astonished as they stared at the golden lights. Someone had appeared up there. A black stone had also appeared, chains attached to it. Chains? Lin Feng started trembling. What was going on? Was a saint or several bound here? Murmured someone. The crowd was stunned. That wasn't really possible, was it? After the saints' battle, they had sealed this world. How come some people were bound here? And who was that person in chains? What was their cultivation level? Yang Shao turned around and saw Great Emperor Z. What do you want? Yang Shao asked him indifferently. Yang Shao, you told Lin Feng I was going to take care of him and that he should stay with you. Unfortunately, he doesn't care. He refused to travel with you, and he doesn't want you to tell you anything about himself. You can't recruit him as easily. In the end, he's enigmatic and unfathomable. My punch didn't even injure him, Great Emperor Z mused aloud. Yang Shao frowned and said icily, so what? Mind your own business, will you? Yang Shao, people fear and respect you in the Celestial Remarkable Deployment Ministry. Even the elders tell their disciples they have to respect you. You have a good position in the Celestial Remarkable Deployment Ministry. You are also extremely talented. But now we're in a paradise. If you want to deal with him, I can help you. Great Emperor Z smiled coolly. Yang Shao was surprised. Great Emperor Z continued, I know that no matter what you do with your talent, the elders of the Gon Ministry will support you, but they won't help you. We can join hands, we'll benefit from it. What do you want to obtain? Yang Shao asked icily. We can share all he has, said Great Emperor Z indifferently, which made Yang Shao smile grimly. Ridiculous. Great Emperor Z, you're a great emperor, you would dare cast greedy eyes on an emperor? You're wrong. You can learn from anyone, no matter what their cultivation level is. That guy is talented and extremely strong. His deployment spells are impressive. If we join hands, it will be a win-win cooperation. You could obtain great things, which might be crucial before the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. You would become much stronger really quickly. Great Emperor Z, you're truly evil, spat Yang Shao coldly. We're both in the same boat, Great Emperor Z smiled placidly. They had possibly found a common ground. Lin Feng didn't know about their little chat. He had landed in a deployment mine. Everything in front of him seemed to be moving. He saw a gigantic stone appear and begin to shatter. It then exploded, and its pieces fell down to the ground. A gigantic spider appeared. It had golden eyes and its body was dark gold. "It's a deployment beast again." Lin Feng was curious. The spider scuttled towards him. Lin Feng was surrounded by dazzling marks, which turned into a gigantic golden web around him. It looked indestructible and seemed extremely difficult to escape from, as it kept changing. "This deployment beast can use deployment spells?" thought Lin Feng, astonished. How could a deployment spell turn into a spiritual being? Lin Feng really wanted to know. Even though Lin Feng understood deployment spells better and could already carve deployment beasts, they were still just deployment spells. They couldn't be real beasts, but the creature in front of him was a mystery. Many people raised their heads after hearing the sound waves above their heads, and had the sensation they were going to collapse. How oppressive! They felt so tiny. The terrifying sound waves spread across hundreds of kilometers and moved towards the hole in the sky. Golden pieces kept falling from the sky. A strong cultivator in the golden lights opened his eyes, the orbs shining with light. Finally, after so many years, they were recovering. The sound waves continued spreading. They moved into the black hole. It seemed about to collapse. The cultivator in the black hole raised his head, his eyes ice cold. In the emerald green forest, the golden mountains, the ice world, the sound waves kept spreading, and all the historical remains started shaking violently. Those who were in the historical remains were shocked. The evil spirits in the historical remains also started trembling. Outside of the historical remains, many waiting emperors who were waiting gazed into the distance. Many geniuses had already died. How many more would die? How many people would obtain ancient treasures? Geniuses of every generation went to the historical remains. Many of them had the impression it wasn't worth it, but at the same time, many geniuses really wanted to try because if they obtained anything, it was something incredible. If they did, it was also great for their dynasties. The people who were waiting outside looked calm. They knew that the geniuses wouldn't come out of the historical remains that quickly. Explosions began to shake the air and interrupted the sound waves. They all opened their eyes and stared at the entrances of the historical remains. What's going on? Those just watching shivered as the thunder seemed to spread. Had a great battle started? Boom! A gigantic hole appeared in the side of the mountain, and a new world appeared. The people were astonished. Had the entities the saints sealed had just been released? What happened? Thought the shaken watchers. Quick, inform the holy emperors and the elders. Tell them to come. People were panicking. The creatures of the historical remains had surprisingly broken free. It meant that this world could also be connected to the outside world. This world has broken apart? The Holy Spirit dynasty received the news. People were trembling. It was the second astonishing thing that had happened in such a short time. The previous time was because of Lin Feng. Has it broken apart? The Tianxi dynasty also received the news. My son died. The world of the historical remains has broken apart. I really want to see what's going on inside, said a voice in the Qin dynasty. Qi Tian holy town started bursting into motion. All the dynasties dispatched people to the historical remains. At that moment, in the world of the historical remains, the people there were stunned. The most surprised person in the world of the historical remains was probably Lin Feng, however. His eyes were glittering. Chapter 2029. Saint's body. When the group saw the Demon King's eyes, they were terrified. Who was that? They couldn't even see this cultivator's cultivation level. Arg! The terrifying monster roared in a thundering rage. A gigantic black hand appeared above him. Let's go! The strong cultivators shot up into the sky, lights glittered. However, grinding explosions threw back their power. The stronger cultivators made some hand seals. Phew! A loud sound emerged from the gigantic crater, and a black light surrounded the group of people. An elder's face turned deathly pale and he waved, "Let's go!" The group of people quickly fled. In a distant place, the group of people gathered with some others, all of them pulling a long face. What's going on? Why are those enchained cultivators so strong? They just have to exhale, and even their breath contains a terrifying strength. And are there more there? Like in the books, the demon king of the dark abysses, Chant Mountain, the death-forbidden area. If those people break free, they might destroy Chi-Tian Holy Town, but who are they? They are not saints. I just want to know what really happened back then, the behind-the-scenes story. And where are the saints? Where are the saints? They all looked around. Were the saints still alive? The voices spread far away. The evil spirits didn't dare come out, all rushing towards the altar. Saint Tianhun was there, his eyes gleaming. The Celestial Soul Dynasty doesn't exist anymore, nobody listens to my orders, muttered Saint Tianhun. He wasn't as strong as in the past anymore, and his descendants had been killed. If other dynasties knew he existed, they wouldn't listen to his orders, they had to cooperate with one another. Now, he needed a body, like the little boy who had tried to kill him. He took a deep breath, the evil spirits looked scared. However, they couldn't stop Saint Tianhun. They existed thanks to him. They absorbed people to become stronger. If Saint Tianhun absorbed them, they wouldn't be able to resist. Many evil spirits were drawn towards Saint Tianhun, and he started absorbing them quickly. His qi became more and more powerful. The old man was still next to him, on his knees. He looked solemn and respectful. He was the strongest evil spirit, he had absorbed many spirits and people. His body even looked real, and his mental abilities were advanced. Even Lin Feng had thought he was a real human being. However, if Saint Tianhun wanted to absorb him, he couldn't do anything about it either. More people arrived in the distance. Some people landed in front of the altar, watching Saint Tianhun as he absorbed all the spirits. After a short time, Saint Tianhun had absorbed all the spirits except the old man. Saint Tianhun opened his eyes and looked at the people who had arrived. If we were in the old days, you wouldn't dare do that, I'd slap you and you'd die, said Saint Tianhun icily. A peerless doctor, were there such cultivators? Besides, if you are in danger, you can use my body, I will help you. However, there won't be many cases where you'll need my help, I would guess. Otherwise, I will disappear, the saint sighed. Even though he only had a thread of consciousness left, he didn't want to die. He knew it would be difficult to come back to life, but he still hoped. If I were in danger, I wouldn't dare use your body, said Lin Feng respectfully. The saint sighed, and his godly awareness left Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng opened his eyes. He looked at the body, having the impression he had just had a powerful dream. I wouldn't have thought that this body would be so incredible, thought Lin Feng. He left his spirit and continued traveling. With my current strength, I can't find a peerless doctor. I wonder whether the Qin dynasty could find one or not, thought Lin Feng. He was annoyed because the saint hoped he could have good relations with the Qin dynasty, but the prince of the Qin dynasty had died in Chant Valley. Ji Chang and the members of the He clan had seen that. If they informed the Qin dynasty of that, they would probably say that Lin Feng had killed him. Lin Feng continued moving onwards. Finally, he saw other people gathered. Ji Chang was among them and saw Lin Feng. He was stupefied. Lin Feng hadn't died? How had he resisted the sound waves in the valley? The Tianxi dynasty's holy emperor was stupefied, landing before Lin Feng and saying, "Lin Feng, you're still alive." Lin Feng felt bad. But when he saw Ji Chang, he understood what was going on. He nodded and said, "I was lucky." "Lin Feng," said a voice icily at that moment. A few strong cultivators released a terrifying qi and landed in front of Lin Feng. "Holy Emperor, Lin Feng stole our ancestor's body. Our prince followed him and died tragically. I hope you can make Lin Feng give us the body back," said a strong cultivator of the Qin dynasty, staring icily at Lin Feng. "In the mysterious world, people hunt treasures, it's normal. Your prince died in the valley, so what? It has nothing to do with Lin Feng." "Don't talk to me about that again," rebutted the holy emperor of the Tianxi dynasty. Lin Feng looked at him and said, "Prince Qin couldn't take the body, I only took it afterwards. He chased me and some kind of sound wave killed him. I'm quite sorry. I can't give you the big feat, but I am willing to come to the Qin dynasty at some point to tell you more." Lin Feng had taken their ancestor, after all. He wanted to have good relations with them. He wanted to help the saint come back to life too. If the Qin dynasty could help him, he would be happy. However, the cultivator didn't want to accept Lin Feng's apologies and said icily, "Come with me and we'll talk about it." "Lin Feng, don't go now. They want to steal your body." The holy emperor of the Tianxi dynasty told Lin Feng hastily. "Steal his body? Holy emperor, it's for our ancestor." He had just killed the great desert dynasty's prince and had destroyed his physical body. Lin Feng was a beast. Not many people here could compete with him. "You continue chatting. I'm waiting here," said Lin Feng, glancing at the crowd scornfully. He went back to the top of the mountain and sat down cross-legged. Surprisingly, he was practicing cultivation while they dickered. A clone appeared and Lin Feng's real body forgot about the outside world. The determination of the heavenly grace ancient tree filled the air. Many sorts of cosmic energies condensed. The strength of the 10,000 things of creation. The determination of the blue Uptala lotus also filled the air. The chi of the 10,000 things of creation rolled out. Lin Feng sensed the energies of enlightenment and started visualizing Qin Shan's ancient holy techniques. Lin Feng forgot everything about the outside world, he just studied the holy technique. It was extremely impressive as the great Tao. He was into a deep meditative state. The ancient holy techniques are qi, force, and mind, thought Lin Feng. His blood flowed faster. It felt as if it contained an infinite amount of strength. A domineering shape appeared before him that could oppress anything. It looked like a gigantic ancient animal, but it could also look like an earthquake. It didn't have a stable shape. Ling Tian looked at the gigantic form. A gigantic oppressive foot appeared and fell upon the ground. It couldn't shake anymore. It was incredible to watch. Nobody could forget such a technique. Without a saint, it was almost impossible to create such a technique. At that moment, the Holy Spirit dynasty's strong cultivators looked at Lin Feng. His blood seemed to be boiling. Force rose up into the air and strength condensed. The strength of the 10,000 things of creation and the earth and sky appeared around him and penetrated into his body. What a guy, he's meditating. What a strange man, thought the people of the Holy Spirit dynasty. No wonder he had been onto the Holy Way stage and Holy Imperial throne. No wonder he even dared challenge all these geniuses. The others also realized that something was going on with Lin Feng. They were initially stunned that Lin Feng was practicing cultivation there. Those kinds of qi and force were extremely powerful. People could sense his strength even from far away. There's force in that strength. He can make stones explode. An attack using such strength is dangerous, thought the crowd. They could sense how fearsome Lin Feng's strength was. The strongest cultivator of the Qin dynasty frowned when he sensed Lin Feng's explosive force. It was very similar to that of the Qin dynasty dash. Lin Feng had taken their ancestors' feet. Had he obtained something else? Prince Yen jumped forwards. Princess Piao Shui was stupefied and said, "Brother, Lin Feng is nice and the Tianxi dynasty invited him. He's our guest of honor. Other people can attack him, but you can't. Saints' treasures belong to dynasties. Since Lin Feng is arrogant, I want to try too," said Prince Yen calmly while releasing soft water energy. 5 threads of water strength started flowing in the air, moving erratically. People from the Tianxi dynasty controlled water-type cosmic energies. Prince Yen ran forwards, the sound of waves crashing filling the air. Water energies surged towards Lin Feng. However, a Holy Spirit dynasty cultivator waved his hand, releasing strength and destroying the energies as he said, "Lin Feng is practicing cultivation. You can't disturb him." "It's all right, I'm done," said Lin Feng's clone. He was still seated cross-legged and looked pensive. Even though his clone couldn't practice cultivation, thinking was fine. Lin Feng's clone was wondering whether the Holy Spirit natural godly skill could be used to condense many Holy Spirits and then merge them into one Holy Spirit. If he could make 3,000 Holy Spirits at the same time, his attacks would be truly terrifying. The ancient holy techniques weren't as complex as the Holy Spirit natural godly skill, which was pure. However, his goal was to carry out explosive attacks, so he had to master the skill to its highest level. Lin Feng was wondering whether he could make the holy spirits evolve, too. At the same time, Lin Feng's real body released a dreadful strength. He condensed it, and at the same time multiple holy spirits appeared around him. His holy spirits absorbed the strength of the earth and sky, and were growing stronger. Chapter 2034, Destructive Oppression. Be careful, he is my imperial brother, said someone to Lin Feng telepathically. It was Princess Piao Shui. She was worried about him. All right, replied Lin Feng telepathically. He looked at Prince Yen as the prince's spirit suddenly appeared. He was moving gracefully like water. My imperial brother's spirit is unique, and so is his Tao. He can make them fuse together with water. It's difficult to defeat him, said Princess Piao Shui. At that moment, Lin Feng only saw the body of the prince moving like water. It seemed unreal, as if he were going to disperse at any time. Lin Feng punched out, and the holy spirits turned into raging sharp swords. Prince Yen stepped forward, and the sharp sword quickly cut through him. His arm waved, and he suddenly fused together with his spirit. He became transparent, and his arm looked like water. When the sword pierced through his arm, there was no blood, merely a fissure appeared and flowed together again. Prince Yan's strength is really mysterious. People rarely have the opportunity to see him fight. However, the geniuses never dared underestimate him, even Wang Jian doesn't, whispered someone. What a terrifying power. When Lin Feng saw the prince's defense, he was amazed. Princess Piao Shui had told him the truth, it really was a strange Tao. However, how could he use that kind of Tao to fight? Cultivation strength was the strength of the 1,000 worlds. Prince Yen ran towards Lin Feng. He waved his arm and a lake appeared, turning into a water pillar which descended from the sky above Lin Feng. It looked like Lin Feng was about to drown. Lin Feng looked at the prince icily. He condensed another holy spirit which struck the water pillar, breaking it into two. A powerful strength crashed onto his sharp sword and just missed him. Water strength could be that impressive? Suddenly, the lake turned into a whirlpool and surrounded Lin Feng as it turned into ice, attempting to freeze him. At the same time, it turned into sharp ice swords which closed in on Lin Feng. Normal swords can't break the whirlpool, however, can water cut a sharp sword? Thought Lin Feng, releasing sword intent, qi, and force, all of which condensed into a sword. His soul, blood, and flesh all seemed to have turned into a sword. The qi and force seemed to be condensing in, around, and on his body. He didn't look like a human being anymore. He looked like a sword. Lin Feng pierced through the water attacking him and flew out of the whirlpool, destroying everything in his way. Prince Yen grunted icily when he saw that. His body seemed to melt. Lin Feng's sword pierced through him, however, something shattered in the air and water strength penetrated into Lin Feng's brain. An ice-cold energy gave Lin Feng the impression his soul was going to freeze. A terrifying turbine strength bombarded Lin Feng's soul violently. That wasn't a real attack, it was even more terrifying than a real attack. This is Prince Yan's real Tao? Thought Lin Feng. He had the sensation that not only was his soul going to freeze and explode, but his body too. The turbine attack was really painful. Destructive curse. Lin Feng released cursing strength, which filled the air. The water progressively disappeared around him. A human shape appeared in front of him, resolving into Prince Yen. He kept hiding in the water and flowing through it. Waves rushed and streamed around him. Prince Yan's water was trying to diffuse together with Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng had the sensation his blood was being corroded by the turbine strength. It was becoming fluid and turning water. Prince Yan's strength is impressive, said those watching. They had underestimated Prince Yan's power. His attacks weren't aggressive, but they were sly, which was even more terrifying. A dragon appeared behind Lin Feng and the air began to hum. A terrifying absorbing strength filled the air and started absorbing the water. There was draining sounds as the dragon drank up the water. Lin Feng released sharp qi, his blood roaring with rage. His entire body turned into sword lights. He also released a terrifying cursing strength. He wanted to get rid of all the water in his body. Of course, he also released dreadful death energies. Lin Feng expelled the water out of his body, tainting it with death strength as he did. It was already gray. Prince Yen had been expelled out of Lin Feng's body, and Lin Feng looked at him icily. His soul still felt ice-cold because of the turbid strength. Prince Yen controls water-type strength. It's difficult to kill him. Maybe I could have killed Wang Jian or Zhuo Qing with my attacks, but I still haven't managed to kill Prince Yen, thought Lin Feng. If his soul, mind, and body hadn't been powerful, he might have died. Prince Yen had started corroding his body with turbid strength. It could have killed him. In return, because of his particular abilities, killing him was very difficult. The ancient holy techniques can oppress the universe, including the Great Tao. Even though I can't do that, at least I can oppress the water a little bit, muttered Lin Feng. At that moment, he closed his eyes, and a wind started blowing. Holy spirits appeared in front of him and turned into sword intent. At that moment, Lin Feng was bathing in ancient energies and releasing endless amounts of qi. It was like he had been separated from the outside world and was alone in his world. The force of the earth and sky penetrated into his body. His body and soul turned into a sharp sword. He spat out oppressive strength. The crowd was shocked to see this. What kind of strength was Lin Feng using? What a terrifying force! They had the impression that Lin Feng was all alone in the world. He looked like a solitary, ancient sword. He condensed his vitality qi too. His whole body turned into a sword. Lin Feng disappeared, no longer a human being. He was a sword, and apart from being sharp, his sword was also oppressive. With that gigantic sword, he wanted to oppress the world. The sword streaked across the sky, its terrifying strength filling the air. Prince Yen had the sensation that he was going to be crushed by that sword. His confident, unperturbed expression changed as his water began to crack and shatter. His whole body blew apart into a lake. Without a hard body, how could he resist? The gigantic sword crashed onto the lake. It looked like a sword from ancient times. At that moment, the lake suddenly became rigid, not like a fluid anymore. It became rigid and extremely hard. The sword could oppress anything. The lake started breaking apart, and then it disappeared. He even managed to oppress and destroy invisible and intangible water, someone exclaimed. They were all astonished. That ancient sword was really domineering. Even though people can't easily attack Prince Yen, the problem is that when he turns into water, his strength is spread all over, and he can't focus on one point. Unfortunately, Lin Feng is already oppressing him too much. His spells are terrifying. That's the holy technique of the Qin dynasty's ancestor. The stronger cultivators of the Qin dynasty were astonished. That was definitely their ancestors' technique. The technique had evolved over time, but the technique Lin Feng used looked like the one they had read about in books. It was similar to the one they used, but still different. Lin Feng, you obtained our ancestors' technique with the big feet, shouted the strong cultivators of the Qin dynasty. They couldn't keep calm anymore. They didn't have access to the original technique of their ancestors, but Lin Feng had learned it. The Holy Spirit dynasty cultivators were startled. Lin Feng had learned the Qin dynasty's ancient technique. They were even more responsible. All the geniuses were jealous of Lin Feng. No wonder his oppressive strength was so terrifying. Prince Yen wasn't even able to compete with him anymore. At that moment, Prince Yan's body appeared indistinctly. He was still in the water, but his silhouette was distorted. He couldn't do much though because his strength was spread all over. Lin Feng, stop, shouted some senior cultivators of the Tianxi dynasty loudly. However, Lin Feng continued oppressing the water and destroyed it. At the same time, Lin Feng started condensing a new gigantic sword. Let's go! Another cultivator jumped out, a strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Lin Feng was surrounded by sword energies as he followed the strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty. He glanced at the crowd disdainfully. He had killed Prince Yen in front of all the geniuses. How insane! Princess Piao Shui was astonished when she saw that, sighing despite herself. Lin Feng had killed her half-brother. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.